All right. This is Group 11 again. I'm John.
I'm Leanne.
I'm Megan.
I'm Noelle. Oh, what happened?
All right. So, this is the second discussion. This time we're talking about the approaches to studying leadership. There's a few different ones we talked about. And we're talking about which perspective made the most sense to each of us. So, do you guys, any of you have a certain one of the perspectives that you thought worked best, or which approach you guys think maybe was the most ideal?
I was reading it. I thought the trait approach was the best one, or the one that made the most sense to me, and the one that I related to.
Mm-hmm.
And an individual was either born with the traits needed to be a leader or lacked the psychological and physiological characteristics necessary for successful leadership. I don't think that you're necessarily born with it, but you can definitely learn these traits. And there was a quote in the book that said, leaders are made, they're not born. They are made by hard effort, which is the price which all of us must pay to achieve worthwhile. And some of the traits that they had talked about were cognitive ability, personality, motivation, intelligence, and problem solving.
Yeah.
I definitely think certain personalities make for better leaders.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think obviously like you said, you're not born a leader. I definitely agree with that, but there are some people who it just seems to come naturally to, or maybe they just carry themselves that way and so it appears that way, but I definitely think depending on someone's personality and, their general makeup, it can be easier or more difficult to to lead, I guess. But I mean, if you take the approach that it can be learned and whatnot, do you think, going back to the first discussion, do you think your manager that you kind of have problems with, do you think, can you see it one day maybe she could actually be a good leader, or do you think it's out of the realm of possibility?
I know she's a good leader besides the fact that she out and can't control her emotions, and that she is glued to her work. She puts everything after her job.
Hmm.
She wouldn't even take her kid to her first day of kindergarten because something went wrong at work.
Oh, wow.
She is good in a sense, but just not with her emotions.
Yeah, that almost seems like she's too dedicated
Sometimes, yes.
to trying to at least appear to be a good leader. But I mean, that's pretty serious stuff. I didn't know it was like that.
With that, she has a bad time controlling her emotions, which I think has her problem solving.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have a trait or an approach? I guess I'm sorry, an approach that they thought
I
was the best?
agree most with can you guys hear me?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay. I agree most with the situational approach, I think, to leadership because it argues that traits, skills, and certain behaviors are effective, but only from situation to situation. Like it gave an example between a leader of a social club in comparison to a union boss. So I think as an effective leader, you should evaluate every situation differently and then consider how you should approach it and the people involved in the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What about you, Noel? Did you have a favorite or a certain approach that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I actually agree with Leanne's example because I believe that, in order to be a good leader, you have to already have the trait embedded in you. Because,
Yeah.
I think leaders are born. And so, if they don't have that leadership traits, in them already, it's going to be hard for them to actually express it after take on, leadership roles.
I agree. Um,
I can kind of like see where all of them are good approaches.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Like transformational, it talks about like how you need to fit like psychological needs. So obviously you're going to need air, water, and food. Otherwise, you're going to hate your job if you're starving or you can't breathe or you're very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and transformational leadership pretty much encourages people to be leaders too. It encourages all workers to be leaders in their own little specialty. So I think that's one of the approaches as well. Creating more leaders, or,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
more.
definitely think each separate approach has their own like positives and benefits
Yeah.
of each approach for sure.
Right. Yeah, I think it obviously depends on the situation. I know before we talked about different environments probably call for different approaches. I kind of like um, the functional approach. Um, I think because it talks about, if I remember correctly, it talks about kind of like the ability of someone to lead is kind of it's it like hinges on their ability to communicate like a leader. That's pretty much all it is. And really, I mean, we're in a communication class that focuses on leadership, so that probably makes the most sense in terms of what we're doing. But I don't know. It just seems like as hard as someone may try to be a leader and try to like have control over a group and be able to do what they want within the confines of a group, if you can't communicate like a leader and if people don't like believe that you're a leader, that you have confidence in everything, then it's kind of like I just can't see it working, honestly. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but that's just always the way I've looked at it. Like people can at work, they can just like kind of, it's like they can sniff out if you're not confident and if you don't like actually believe in yourself as a leader, and then they make life awful for any of the managers.
You
So
definitely don't want a manager that doesn't believe in themselves because then you're going to be like, well, why should you be telling me what to do? Like,
right,
you sound very confident in yourself.
Yeah.
exactly,
It's not going to motivate you to do whatever you guys are like trying to achieve.
yeah. And I know the book talks about managers not necessarily being leaders, but when I think of like the most immediate leaders in my life, like I don't, besides school, which I guess that would be the professors, and work, there's not too much else that I spend my time doing, during the semesters. So I think of like my managers, and then if sometimes it's only like three or four of us on the floor, so so the supervisor or rarely the store manager, they really have to have that presence and have to step up and be a leader. So, and like you said, if they're questioning themselves or questioning their own actions, then no one's going to even respect them enough for them to be considered an actual leader. So
In
that's
the
the way
book
it's always seemed.
about the initiator, and that's establishes the agenda and procedures and proposes innovative strategies and solutions. So that definitely sounds like something a manager or a leader be doing.
Hmm. Yeah, and oddly enough, we have those people at my store who are like just random baristas who just, some may say they take their job a little too seriously, but in the end, you need people like that. So I guess they're,
Yeah,
like you said,
especially like when Kwasa comes, like the health inspector, you need somebody that's gonna be like, we need to be on top of things so we don't fail our
yeah.
health inspection.
Hmm. And those inspections are like, they're pretty intense because we've never failed
They're
like
scary.
a health inspection from like the actual health inspector, but then Quasi comes in and makes us feel like we're terrible and disgusting, and But lately we've been doing better, and it's because when uh when we see that they come in, someone steps up and like looks around for every little detail, like you said, just to make sure that everything is up to par, so we don't get marked off on anything, or if we do, it's nothing major at the very least. So yeah, there's definitely that. We can both relate to those examples. What do you the rest of you guys, anything else to add?
What do you think about that, Shinu? Like, are there any special approaches you identify with, or any characteristics you want to share?
I prefer to the behavior attribution approach because compared with the sociological approach, I think it says charisma. I think the charisma is different between the normal charisma. Maybe the normal charisma says somebody looks clever, looks pretty, handsome. But this charisma, maybe I think this should represent, do something, and maybe let people know what you think, like the great idea, the ambitions dream, and some any other like crazy actions, like you work you work very hard to than other people. So I prefer to the behavioral attribution approach.
Okay. Yeah, I think we all feel pretty similar about most of the approaches, if not all of them. I think we covered most of the bases. So I think that pretty much does it, unless anyone else has any closing remarks.
No, I think that's good.
I think we
Yeah.
covered it all. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop the broadcast.